Fuck me, it actually works.
Hi there, we are looking today at this little Worksharp folding sharpener here. So this guy here is an EDC-able, pocket-mountable sharpening system with ceramic and diamond plates and some little angle guides there to help you on the fly sharpen a pocket knife, I'm going to say. You could sharpen anything, but the lengths of sharpening media we're looking at here generally leaning more towards pocket knife sharpening on the go, or small fixed blade sharpening on the go. I'm always a little bit skeptical of the need to have little pocket sharpeners like this. They often seem to be more like proof of concepts rather than things I'd actually carry and use. I think if I was going somewhere far enough away that I was going to need to touch up my knife because I was using it so much, I think I'd have something larger with me. Generally speaking, you know I talk about all the time, the guided field sharpener here. Pretty much the best sort of 50 to 70 bucks, however much they are now, that you can spend if you're a knife guy, I think. Learn a lot about sharpening, does really good sharpening, great abrasives. I could go on, and I have in the past. So usually I'd have something like that with me. These things always interest me in terms of a form factor and if they do actually work. So that's what we're going to be testing out in this video today. It's got a pocket clip on it. Whether I'd actually carry it in my pocket ever, pretty doubtful.
The dame was already smoking, but I wanted to make a good first impression, so all I could do was offer her a pocket knife sharpener. She wasn't so impressed. It must have been the Crocs.
What it does do, it makes it fit pretty well into little systems like this. This is like the NAF's knife tool roll thing. So you see it kind of slides in there pretty nicely with all the other knife care doodads and whatnot. So maybe that's more what I should be thinking of for how that clip is applicable. Because what I'm going to do with it today is, you probably guessed from seeing what's on the table in front of me, I'm going to sharpen 3 different knife steels with only this after I've dulled the knives completely on this sharpening stone. And then I'm going to let you know how I feel about it and perhaps how it compares to some other pocketable sharpening systems. Let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the pocket clip. Sorry, but all I can think of is going to make it uneven on the flat surface. And I feel like most of this thing is flat, so having it kind of with a bit of wonk to it like that is, you know, whilst it would probably still work, I feel like I want it to be as dead flat as I can get it. So I suppose you could take off your clip, put it back on. It's just a little number 6 or 8 Torx hex head screw, but Torx also works because it grabs the corners. But I feel like laying it nice and flat down is a better way to go. So the rough system, you can probably see it from here. These guides here, you rest the knife on first, and then you slice into the stone, and that is how you'll sharpen the knife. So I'm sure I'll figure it out. First thing we're going to do is dull the 3 blades. So this is always the part that everyone love-hates. We've got some Nitro V, some 20 CV, and then some K390. So let's do it.
Oh, the Jedis are going to feel this one.
So all 3 knives should be quite dull now. I don't want to cut that paper at all. K390, no, even the K390 doesn't want to. So 3 badly dulled knife edges. So using nothing but this little guy here, let's have a look and see if we can't bring him back. Just touching there. See, it's so low that the pocket clip is sort of in the way, so I'm going to have to put it up on something higher. I guess you could find something to do this, but for demonstration purposes, it's going to be the case of the larger ceramic stone. Right. Alrighty, let's have a look and see how it went. Actually find it quite fiddly and quite small, this one, so we'll see if that's put on anything like an edge on the knife. It should have done by now. Oh, okay, it did. Righto, so there. That's very sharp, and I haven't even stropped it. Okay, so it definitely works, but yeah, just the whole thing just felt, yeah, it's very, very minute. You're operating on a very small scale here, very sort of, yeah, in the weeds with the details and things, and having to put it on top of something, I guess you'd just find a book or something if you needed to. So can sharpen, Nitro V, no worries. That was a very easy sharpen. Then again, Nitro V, a very forgiving steel. Let's try it on something a bit more middle of the range in terms of supposed sharpening hardness. That is, of course, the 20 CV. Alrighty, well, let's see how that one goes. Again, I was surprised last time. It happened quicker than I thought. There's no stropping or anything. It's just a honing on either side. Still needs more, definitely. Although, obviously a huge improvement, but definitely needs more. More love, probably on both sides. So, you know what? In the spirit of full disclosure, let's just revisit it again and you'll get an idea. Obviously, I'm going to be speeding up the sharpening footage because I understand your time is more important than that. But yeah, just to see how it actually would go, let's just restart. Alrighty. Still not quite where I'd want it personally. What am I looking at here? Probably a higher end steel like this probably does need an actual leather strop. So let's give myself a break and put it on a strop for a moment. See if that sets it right. Probably struggling with getting the burr off. Stock removal should have been happening. See how that's traveling. Much better. Yeah, it's still not the sharpest knife in the world, but it's definitely been sharpened. Now, I feel like probably still needed a lot more time compared to the Nitro V, and that would be reflective of the steel's composition and hardness. So the Nitro V is at about 60, and this is, I think, 62, and it's a more complex steel with, you know, the different sort of vanadium and things like that in it, in far greater amounts than this guy here. So, and those sort of carbides are a little bit more difficult to sharpen and take a little bit longer to sharpen, especially on little things like this. So this next knife here, this K390, this is a pretty high-end steel, pretty advanced stuff. It is going to need a bit of time. So I'm going to give it sort of a little bit longer even than I think it needs, keep on going, and then hopefully I can get it in one take so I don't have to revisit it again. because that's always a bit embarrassing having to do that. I know you guys aren't judging. See, I feel like my body's saying that's enough, so I'm going to do a little bit more. Alrighty, smooth it out on the ceramic. All right, that should have smoothed it out. I'm wondering though. Hopefully I surprise myself. Pretty good, like much better. Definitely a sharp edge. On a little stone like that, that's about as good as I'd ever expect. Remember, we're just micro beveling here at I think 20 degrees per side. These were like 15 degree edges that I ruined, and I won't be able to help myself to put the 15 degree back on, especially these K390. It's such a good steel at a really thin edge. But this isn't for doing, crazy hair splitting edges. This is for knife maintenance, I guess, in the field. And as such, I suppose it's proven that it does indeed pretty easily. It's 23 minutes. I've sharpened 3 knives, pretty easily. I would just say, give it a little extra time. This 20 CV could have probably done a bit more time, and I think the K390 could have done even a little tiny bit more time as well. If you got like your softer steels or your more basic steels, like Nitro V and 154 cm, AEBL 14C28N, it'll do them in no worries at all. These steels are great because of that, and that's why sometimes people even prefer to get knives in these steels, because you might not have crazy systems like I've got at home. Maybe you just have little things like this. So it's what it's all about sometimes. So there you have it. It definitely works. Whether or not there is a space for this sort of thing in your collection, that's up to you to know, I suppose. Other good pocketable sharpening systems, I would suggest 2. The DMT diafold is a similar concept. Just instead of having a ceramic, it's just got a finer diamond. So this guy here, very much a little bit more of an expert mode. Freehand sharpening, sort of put it on the edge of a bench, or you can sort of put it pretty flat when it goes like this. And similar concept, just finding the angle, but you don't have any of your handy guides that Worksharp gives you. So it's the same sort of concept. These Spydercos have sort of parts of them that make you need to really have a bit of space above and below. So that's basically the DMT, how that goes. So if you are a bit like me and you like a lower edge, once you've got it dialed in and once you've practiced your freehand sharpening, you'd be able to maintain your 17 degree or 15 degree edges on this guy as well. So that's one. That sharpened it up a little bit more even just by doing that. So, and I guess that's another thing that these little systems do, I think, still need the support of, is a strop of some kind. So this NAFS kit does have like a little strop in there. You can use like the inside of your belt, I suppose, if you're happy to like put some kind of compound on it. Some kind of compound on a little strop is generally a pretty good support for anything, especially something that's starting with diamonds to do steel removal. This is a reasonably rough diamond. I think it's about a 600 stone. And so sometimes that will need a little bit of burr help to get depending on the steel, to get the burr off at the end there. So you're going to need some piece of leather with, ideally, I prefer the diamond emulsion compounds, but whatever compound you've got. So This is a great option. Again, it'll need to be probably supported by some kind of strop, but very pocketable and good high quality abrasives, just like the Worksharp. Obviously, a little bit of a larger footprint there, but generally fits anywhere you'd want this one to fit, so not a huge deal. A little bit bigger and perhaps a little bit more full complemented is the Spyderco double stuff. This guy has some corners on it, so you can do serrations and whatnot. Generally speaking, pretty good. I think this is a 400 and then a 1000 ceramic, I believe. Watch my double stuff review on it. Again, it comes with a leather case that I know, people will say you're not supposed to, but you can absolutely use to like help with deburring. Rub some compound on one side of it, as long as you're not too bothered with that compound kind of getting everywhere. That's something you can do. So the double stuff again, like a little bit bigger again than both of these other two, but still pretty high quality. Double stuff's just a bit expensive. I think these probably cover your base a little bit more for being cost effective, because the purpose of use case for these is a little bit more dubious in my opinion, so you don't want to spend too much money on them. They're kind of just fun things to have around, to put into little knife kits, to time travel back to 2012 when we were making Altoids kits and put in those. All that sort of stuff is what they're for. Spending the 100 or so extra on a double stuff is probably more of an enthusiast pursuit, I would say. And I really just got the double stuff to see if it worked, to see if it was good for a review. And it does work, and it was a fun review. It's one of my favorite reviews I've made, actually, the double stuff review. So there's that too. So other ones to consider for sure. Worksharp, if you want to shop with them, they do this guy as well, which is basically the same concept. It's just it's taller, so you won't have to put things up higher. The stock removal section is like narrower but longer, so you're probably removing about the same amount of steel per minute of use. On the other side is the ceramic rod, which does the same as the ceramic plate. No strop on it, so you still need to find a strop to support. And this is why I always come back to the guided field sharpener. It's got everything you need on it. Too big for a pocket, I would argue, like especially on a day-to-day basis. Maybe if you're bushwalking, a cargo pants pocket or something like that would be fine. But this really does have everything. It's got a 400, 600, and then, or is it 600, 1000? It's got a few different plates on there. Just says coarse fine. Anyway, I can't remember the grits exactly, but I've used this so much and it's absolutely filthy, but the stones still hold up and still works entirely. So yeah, really, really good. All 20-degree stuff though, most Worksharp stuff is going to be 20-degree angles to start with. So that is basically leading towards you micro beveling most of your knives. Most factory edges, even these days, seem to be coming at about 18 degrees. So that's another thing you need to realize, that any touch up in the field, what you're basically going to be doing is putting a micro bevel on it. And then when you get home, you can put your, proper grind behind and, then micro bevel again later on in the field, or just return home, wait till you come home and sharpen your knives back to the initial desired angle. So that's just my thoughts on pocket sharpening in general. I don't think it's an essential part of being a knife guy, but it is certainly a bit of fun from time to time. Anyway, that's the video on this little guy here. Stats on the screen. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks, goodbye.